What's going on?
I wondered what that noise was then. I couldn't see your face at first.
What's up? What's
Um,
up?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. I'm just trying to uh figure this circle stuff out. There we go. Yeah.
The new little office setup that you've got looks really nice, man.
Yeah, it's coming together, man. It's coming together.
Very clean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me see. Hold on. Can you raise your hand, Penna? Like, is there a way you can like raise your hand?
Um,
What's the name? I think if you go down there, you say I think it says raise hand, and then I can probably like co-host or something like that.
don't think
See where
so.
it says like, oh, I see at the bottom, like the bottom bar.
Yeah, I've got the bottom bar. I've got the camera, the mic, the
Oh
little
yeah,
users one. I haven't got a hand one there though.
oh, that's fine. Well, you're able to talk, so it's all
Yeah, I
right.
think I messed it up. I joined the backstage thing. I just
Yeah.
messed it up.
All right. No, that didn't do anything. My bad.
Oh, good.
It didn't do nothing at all. All right, you can catch your camera back on. That's my fault. All right, I'll just leave it. Oh man, yeah. Look at John. What's going on, John?
Yeah, John's in here already.
Hey, man.
Hey, hey,
Hey, he's coming
how's it
short.
going?
Huh? What do you say? I don't even know what he said.
No, I'm not sure.
How is it going?
Oh, doing pretty good. We'll give it a few, and then we'll see what happens. I probably should. Let me see. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh, the blur in my background looks terrible.
Oh, damn. You
Yeah,
don't want that on.
yeah, I knew that was a cartoon. I thought it was just gonna be like, Google Meet or something. I should probably let me see. Too bad there isn't an easy way to share this damn what's the name? This room.
Yeah, that's true. Um,
Let me get to like I don't know. They actually can like rewatch this anyway. So I'm gonna
oh,
give it.
that's good, man.
Yeah,
Love
yes.
that.
We're just gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna what's it called? Give it to like 11:06, and we can start something like that.
Sounds good.
I'm getting some crazy DMs lately. Oh, you type super quick.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Like, damn, this guy.
The noisy ass keyboard.
Yeah,
I forget that you can hear everything. I'm so used to it.
I wanna I was trying to honestly I'm trying to figure out how to share the room, but it's not like Twitter Spaces, so it's like,
Um,
you know. I'm just gonna probably just let me see. I'll just find the post.
yeah, I mean, it weren't too hard for me to join. I think pretty much when you go on the link, if you've signed up for it, then there's just a blue button saying join.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, I don't. You probably know more than me, to be honest. This is very new for me.
Yeah, this is really new. It's all right though. We're just gonna start anyway, and whoever joins joins, because they'll have access to it afterwards. Which most people will probably do anyway, so
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about it. But yeah. Anyway, Penna, man, what's going on, bro?
yeah, I'm all good, man. It's been a minute since we've had a chat. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
it's
been a
been quite
minute.
some time. Yeah,
Obviously, you've been busy with getting moved into the new place and stuff.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, but yeah, this year's been a little bit hectic. I'm
yeah,
sure it's been the same for you, but yeah, it's been a little bit all over the place.
yeah. It's been pretty chaotic so far, man. I don't know what's in the air, but it's been pretty
No,
crazy.
there's something for sure. I've definitely been able to tell that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Every agency owner, freelancer I talk to is always like, man, it's either it's been slow or it's been too much or it's been like just all over the place. People trying to figure out new avenues. Um, it's crazy, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I've had the same conversations as
yeah,
well. Freelancers, agency owners. It's one or the other. Either like it's super dry or they're just so busy. It's overwhelming.
yeah, yeah. That's the problem. It's all right though. It's like one of those things where you just got to keep creating and evolving. I think right now is a good time to pivot. From like extremely large contracts and partnerships into more of a collaborative and fluid, way of working with other people. I think, right now in particular, it's like you just hold on to whoever you have in your client database, right? Like, and
Mm.
just reach back out to them. Because especially with the banking situation here in the U.S., we got the economy going crazy all over the place. Eggs are expensive.
It's the same here. It's the same
Yeah,
here, man. You can't
yeah,
even get. Sometimes you can't even get eggs over here. It's crazy. It's
that's
insane.
crazy. You can't even get eggs.
Just you can't even get eggs. Yeah.
It's unfortunate, man, but we just got to keep it going.
Yeah. Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, so today's topic is really just collaborating with agencies, working with agencies, partnering with them, finding work through them. And so, before we get into that though, I do want to hear a little bit about yourself. Uh, kind of, yeah, how you, kind of how you got to this very point right now. Just if you
Yeah.
can encapsulate that.
Yeah. I'll try and summarize it as best as I possibly can. I think like most freelancers out there, it's a little bit rocky the first
Mhm.
time you jump into this thing. It was for me anyway. Not really having much of a plan or a direction going into it. I just decided, yeah, I'm going to try this thing out and see where it goes.
Mhm.
But now over the last couple of years, and I think this is credit to the topic that we're going to be discussing, making partnerships and stuff. Things have been, somewhat smooth, and it's allowed me to have, stability financially, and I couldn't be more grateful for sort of. I think like the first couple of years in business, it was more so me networking, getting myself out there, the stuff that you don't really see come to fruition at the start, but it starts to sort of pay off the longer that you're in this game for, and that's what I'm starting to reap the benefits of now. But a little bit of background about myself is I started off as a little bit of a generalist freelancing, finding my foot in the world, trying to find what I liked, what I disliked, and then I kind of narrowed it down to logo and brand identity work predominantly for small to medium-sized businesses. My thing is I love working with businesses from the ground up, so it just made sense to kind of niche down into brand identity work, which for a lot of the times is helping these businesses really from the very beginning of their business
Mhm.
create an identity which is going to work and hopefully drive sales and just get the image out there that they really desire. So that's
Yep.
where my passion is just helping these businesses when they're a little bit lost. They've got the business background, but maybe they just don't know where to go creatively, and that's where I really come in and hopefully help shift their sort of direction, help them, as I say, bring their visions to life.
Yeah. Yeah, man, no doubt. Like, how do you? So how do you even start off like finding those relationships and partnerships? Like how do you start working with them? Do you like reach out via email, Twitter, people like is it inbound? How does
Yeah,
it
it's it's one of them. I've found it best trying to get in contact with people like yourself who are founders of agencies and trying to make actual connections with these types of people rather than just sending someone an email. That I haven't found much success doing it that way, just dropping someone an email and hoping to hear back from them. The most success that I've found through trying to create partnerships is through either mutual connections, which is how we got in contact in the first place, is through Isaac, which a
right?
great dude. Shout out to Isaac.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how we got chatting. And then from there, you sort of seeing the potential in my work and wanted to get me on board, and things just kind of flourished from there. And those similar connections outside of Crafted, I've got a partnership with Crew, great guys over at Crew, and I made that partnership just by simply sending out a tweet. So it's one of them, you just got to try and make connections with the right people and try and be personable with it as well. I feel like, don't just reach out to everyone because there's lots of agencies out there, but
Right.
reach out to people who could leverage your services, e.g., Webflow Studio that predominantly does Webflow stuff, but maybe they need brand identity work or they have, clients that might need that. Or, you like their content to the point where, you could see yourself being part of what they've got going on. I think that's most important is not just reaching out to people because maybe you're a little bit desperate for work or whatever it is, but just reaching out to the people that you could see yourself actually bonding with and making that connection with, because that's where the best partnerships come from, I feel like. Or that's been my experience through the ones that I've made.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that too. I agree. And like I found my first partnerships the same way you did, just reaching out. I think, what a lot of people try to do is they try to force it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
people ask me all the time, like, how do you like find leads? I think the number one question is like, how do you get clients? I
yeah.
think it's that mindset though. It's kind of already approaching it wrong. You're not really getting clients, you're just building relationships, and
Mm,
it may or may not turn into clients. You know what I mean? Like
exactly. Yeah.
or it might manifest a year later,
Mm,
like there's people I've talked with that, like last year that they're hitting me back up this year. I think establishing those connections and then constantly putting out, content or reminders of what you do, showing the wins, showing the success, talking about everything, people like to build in public and stuff like that. And I think those things are all things that just eventually will start to, generate opportunity because you're just reminding
mm.
people, you know what I'm saying? So, um, no, I 100% agree. And I think one of my first partnerships, I just reached out via email. I seen their website and I was like, oh, they probably need a little
Mm.
bit of help.
Yeah, I think it's the approach though, like I think I probably tackled it the wrong way entirely, which is why I say that the email side of things was unsuccessful for me because I feel like I was approaching the email side of things of like, it was more so in a desperation mindset where I was trying to just find partnerships because I needed the work at the time. And
Yeah,
so I had a big long spreadsheet of agencies to reach out to, just finding them from Google or whatever, local agencies and all that sort of stuff.
right.
But I was mostly working from, a script which wasn't that personable. You could kind of tell like it was just a copy and paste job. And, 9 times out of 10, I wouldn't even get a response that way. And I mean, there's reason for that because, they could kind of smell it, it's a bit too salesy and it's clearly a script what this guy's sending us and he's not too interested in actually what we do. Whereas, yeah, when you're actually taking some time to reach out to people like yourself, if you've got connections in the space, they do great stuff, and it can be as simple as an email. You just got to make sure you approach it in the right way. And one of the most important things that I didn't really do at the start is do just simple stuff like follow-up emails. If I
Hmm.
didn't hear back from someone, I would just be like, okay, maybe they're just not interested. But sometimes it's just a case, life gets in the way, they're super busy, they might not have seen your initial email. And just doing simple stuff like sending up a follow up. I'm not saying wait a couple of hours and then send another email, but you know what I mean? Like maybe a couple of days or a week and just reach out and let them know that you actually exist because
Yeah.
I think it's important. Otherwise, they might never see that initial email.
Right.
But if you send that follow up, there's more chance that they're going to see it and they know that you're interested, and it's just making sure that you're at the forefront of their mind in a lot of ways.
That's fat. Hey, there's money in the follow-ups, man.
Yeah.
There's tons of money in the follow. There's probably money in my follow-ups right now. There's money in there. I'm telling you, like even reaching back out to your people, you have in the CRM, right? Just constantly reaching back out. You just never know. But there is a lot of money. I know that for a fact because I built all the partnerships I built to this day took like 5, 6, maybe even 8 emails. Like, hey,
Mm.
just sending a reminder. Hey, and they're like, oh, hey, thanks, Dexter, for sending over the reminder. Like only time you're out of the game is when they say no completely. You know,
Yes, exactly.
if they're
Yeah.
giving you kind of a warm, like, yeah, maybe, or yeah, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we're almost there. Just keep at it. Stay at the top of their minds. You just really never know. So yeah, there's money in the follow-ups. And before we go any further too, I heard that you talked about some strategies, right? Like you said, the script thing, like the script
Mm.
thing didn't work for you, right? So like I don't like scripts either. I think I can't even make scripts. Every time I hear marketers talk about scripts, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do? I've even purchased scripts and like read sales books, and I just none of it feels authentic.
Yeah.
Are there, aside from the scripts that we know from our experience, they don't work? Are there any other like strategies you've tried to implement that may have not worked or did or
So, um, the strategies that I feel have worked have always been just trying to be authentic as I possibly can be, and knowing who to reach out to as well. But like I said, not coming from a place of desperation, but coming from a place of, um, you know, who can I actually provide value to? That's the most important thing. Like, who can I provide value to? Who's going to benefit from what I have to offer? And knowing that is a real game changer because it kind of filters out, you know, all the unnecessary people that you don't really need to reach out to. Um, and it gives you a more concise list of who you could possibly, get work from or you could create partnerships from. And that's, I feel like what one of my biggest strengths has been in terms of the strategy is just trying to stay away from like the script stuff, trying to go more personable, trying to actually take the time to learn about people, their backgrounds, their business, and see how I could sort of inject myself within that, and bring some value to what they do. Another great way is just sending someone an email. If you see, like a social media post out there where someone's asking for help and they maybe need some advice, and that's to do with the sort of area that you specialize in, and that's a great way to get your foot in the door as well, is just by offering up some free value. And then from there, maybe they, decide, okay, I'm going to hire this guy because he clearly knows what he's talking about. I
yeah,
don't really know how to implement these strategies, so let's get him in a call and see what he can do. And it's really
right,
simple stuff like that that we don't think about, but it makes such an impact. Just putting stuff out there for free is it has been a massive game changer for me for sure.
right. And when you do that too, you also show that what you just did like works for you and it could work for the person you're about to work with. Right.
Mm.
So it's like when they reach out to you, it kind of validates that it works, like whatever strategy you're implementing to get those clients. And so that could be another value add off the top right there. So it's like, and that's the same, like I think it's always good to just offer something free up front, like some type of just some type of like, review. I see like some of the top agencies even like we'll do like free like web reviews or consultations or whatever it may be. So, like things like that really do work in the long run. But um, and so yeah, I mean, Uzo's here. I know Uzo was talking about like how to find clients and stuff. And so, we had just talked about that. But if you have any other questions, Uzo, feel free to drop them in the chat. We were just talking about making connections on Twitter and everything like that, and how we were first collaborating with agencies and stuff. And so, it'll definitely be in the re-recording. But if there's anything else, just yeah, just let us know. Let me pull up the chat.
I could probably add a few little bits there as well. If you're just getting started, when I first got started freelancing, it's not something that I do nowadays. But when I first started, I would use a lot of freelancing type websites, Upwork, Freelancer, that sort of thing, just to kind of get some experience under my belt. It's very competitive, don't get me wrong, but there's some value in doing that. You kind of get some practice in terms of writing out, very short versions of proposals, but you get some practice in there, get some real practice working with clients. And sometimes you can even land some really solid work from these sorts of platforms as well. So there's some value in looking if, you are possibly, struggling to find work or whatever it might be, whatever your situation is, it's definitely worth taking a look at maybe some freelancing websites and seeing what's out there basically.
Yeah, yeah. So like you advocate for excuse me, freelancing websites, right? So those platforms would be something like Upwork. Is that something you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I'd say it totally depends on, for me, it was because I was in a specific place in my journey. So when I first started, it really just helped me get that experience under my belt working with clients. It was a place where, of course, I knew I could find work immediately. So the freelancing websites worked wonders in terms of just trying to get my work out there and trying to get some, client projects under my belt. Like I said, when I started, I was a bit of a generalist, so I was literally looking for all types of work. And like I said, although they're highly competitive, you have a little bit of patience and you're consistent with it, then there's the likelihood is that you'll get a few leads here and there, and hopefully they'll turn into actual projects. But I think it's about diversifying how you look for jobs especially when you first get started. It's just trying out what you can, and then hopefully finding that secret formula that works for you. Now, like I said, the job sites don't really appeal to me too much these days. Thankfully, I've been able to, like I say, make partnerships and that sort of thing, but it's taken some time to get there.
Mhm.
So when I first started out, of course, I would leverage these sorts of things just to get some work going, really.
Right, right. No, yeah, no doubt. I mean, it sounds like, from the very beginning, those things you can implement to just to get off the ground, right? Like I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I was doing random shit to get off the ground too, to be honest.
I was doing everything and everything, man. Like literally anything, just to get some work. Yeah, man. It's part of the process, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it whatsoever.
No, it is a part of the process.
Yeah,
100%.
I think it's important just to try everything and anything when you first start. And if you don't quite know what you want to do, or you don't have a solid plan, then
Right.
try these things out and see what works.
Right, right. And a lot of and like because like what we're doing essentially is a game of entrepreneurship, right? And so a
Mm,
lot of the times it's about building momentum, and like anything you can possibly do generates momentum and it swings that momentum in your favor. And next thing you know, it's really momentum and compound effort, right? Like
mm,
just consistently just making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do every day in order to get work. It's
mm.
not happening overnight. It's not even happening, tomorrow, but it's eventually going to happen if you keep working at it. And so that's a huge thing, man. Like what you were doing in the beginning stages was just swinging that momentum in your favor. You got to get something going in any way possible. And so that's something that I see like a lot of like young freelancers like not like they refuse to do, like they just refuse. I don't know why. Like this whole talk about like knowing your worth and everything like that. Yeah, man, but it's a grind, bro. Like
Yeah, yeah. Well, I kind of get it to some degree because I feel like for the first couple of months of me starting my freelance business, I was in a quite fortunate position because I was still getting hired by my previous employer doing some pretty cool projects. So I had that financial stability. So I also had a little bit of ego because I
yeah,
thought, yeah, if this is how it keeps going, like I'm gonna have no problems whatsoever. But that sort of stuff dwindled out, and then I found the instability come in place where I had no strategy, I had no plan because I was relying so heavily on that because I had such a good start for the first couple of months. And so I was, during those first couple of months, I was reluctant to trying out all these different things because I thought, know your worth and all that sort of thing, seeing all these social media posts where people are like, yeah, up your prices and all that sort of thing.
yeah,
But as good as a message that is, it's like there's very little context there. Like, yeah, up your prices, know your worth, but yeah, be realistic about it at the same
yeah,
time. When I first started, if I up my prices, I would be getting zero work right at the
right,
start because the value proposition, the work that I was offering at the time is just nowhere near to the standard that it is today. So it's a
right.
gradual progression, like you said, and got to be patient with it. You got to sort of think long term. Obviously, have your short term goals, but just be in it, for the long term gain, basically. Because a lot of what you're putting in now is definitely going to pay off. If it's not paying off now, as long as you're consistent with it, it's going to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, man. Generating that demand, right? So I know that we have a few minutes here, so I am interested to hear like your perspective on just collaborating with agencies in general, like mine, like Crew. Shout out to
Mm.
Jordan, he's a really cool dude. We're just talking yesterday. But like what about like collaborating with agencies have you learned about like the process of, your work and just
Oh,
like just working in general?
it's it's been so valuable. So valuable for so many different reasons. One, you get an insight into how agencies operate, how they work, and compared to a freelancer, it's so different. The process is so much more polished. So there's a lot to learn from in terms of like client communication, onboarding, making the project run smoothly throughout. Um, and on top of that, also getting some insight into what you could potentially be charging for your services as well. Because the differences between what I noticed from freelancing to then being partnered with an agency is that you have the backing of the agency at that point. And so getting the clients is so much more straightforward because you don't need to do all the selling that you usually do as a freelancer because people are already committed to working with the agency. So therefore, if they put in the word that, yeah, we've got Penna, who's a great brand identity designer, there's no reason to question that because they already do stellar work.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that they charge such significantly different rates is such an eye opener as well. Because for me, even working with the likes of you at Crafted and the likes of Crew, it just gave me a massive insight into what value my work actually had. And
Hmm.
therefore, when it came to taking on, personal projects, so stuff outside of agency work, it gave me a lot of confidence in terms of like, I can charge this because I've done it. I've done it before. I've done it for these agencies. They
Hmm.
saw the value in the work, so therefore, why do I not see the value as well? And yeah, that really really helped me just drastically get better projects, better clients, and just improve my process like tenfold. It's been honestly just a godsend working with agencies. Just for those factors alone, man.
Yeah, no, no doubt. Do you think that has something to do with like you being able to like see and know that like, these projects that, you're collaborating with agencies are like, 5-figure projects and above, like are you able to do you take that knowing and you're able to translate that over to your freelance like practice or like how'd you get to that mindset?
Yeah, so that's what I try and do is one, recognize that the value is there, which is the main reason why the agencies or that I'm partnered with are able to, sell the services for that rate because the value is within the offering and exactly what we're putting on the table. So there's no reason why I can't take that same approach and take it into my freelance stuff as well. But I think for me, it was all about just polishing up my process, again, polishing up everything to do with the client experience and making sure that the value that I'm offering is to a similar or a same level as the agencies that I'm working with. And then I have no problem whatsoever, or I don't encounter any issues when I'm, putting these, 5 figures out there to clients. The value is self-explanatory at that point. So I
Yeah.
just try and take, inspiration because you get a real behind the scenes look into how agencies work because you're very much a part of the team, although obviously we're working remotely. I can't speak for every agency, of course, but I know for Crafted and Crew, you're really kind of took under the wing in a lot of ways and kind of shown the ropes in terms of how the agency works behind the scenes. So you can take a lot from that
Right.
and kind of mold it into what you want to do with your freelance, your freelance stuff as well.
Yeah, no, true, true. That's very true, and that's honestly some good insights right there, and too. Um, real quick though, too, I see that Uzo dropped something real quick. So it says, if you want to open up your chat, we can take a look. But it says, Penna and Dexter, what do you think about beginners without a solid portfolio sending cold emails to agencies and individuals who might need their services? So, what's your advice on the best approach on how to go about it? So that's a really good question.
Mm.
So, what I would say. without a solid portfolio, I would say that I mean, this is what I did. So I didn't have a solid portfolio when I reached out to one of my first partnerships called Cohere. They're a branding agency in Baltimore. They've done a lot of cool work. Yeah, they're backed in. They're backed by a lot of cool, VCs in their area, and they make cool work for restaurants, and
Mm.
um, they make cool work for like real estate companies and just brands alike that. Um, and so I really had no business collaborating with them in the first place. And like I had nothing, man. I had shit. I had pennies and lint and a piece of
Yeah.
bubble gum, bro. Like I didn't have nothing. Uh, so when I reached out to them, I had nothing but mock-up projects. So I had
Mm.
done like a few different, kind of like what I have on my YouTube channel, like that control landing page. I don't know if
Mm.
anyone watches my YouTube, but like there's like a landing page I built on there and like built it out for YouTube as a tutorial. So that's what I was doing, man. I was making mock projects and I was just showcasing my work. Like it doesn't matter like whether or not like it's actual work or not. They won't know anyway. Half the time, like you end up signing something to where you can't like showcase something or the company doesn't end up launching the idea so it's like people really don't know, and sometimes in contracts you can still get like them to say like, okay, you're allowed to actually showcase the work anyway. So what I would just say is just make mock projects if you really don't have any, and if you have a couple, just mix it in with those mock projects and just make sure you come with it. You know what I'm saying, is
Mm.
making your best work. And yeah, just showcasing everything that you know how to do. And then yeah, and so when you have that established, you can then just translate that over to your cold email. What I do in cold emails, like we talked about earlier, I don't do any scripts. So I'm like, hey, I'm a Webflow designer, and I'm just trying to like just collaborate with some good folks who are really talented in design. And so I wanted to reach out to you and see what you guys are open to, working with me. Now, if it isn't an agency we're talking about, and it's a company, the approach is a little bit more different.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to say, like, you have to find your value proposition. So, for example, like the partnership I have with Lever, which is a job building platform, we built projects for like Allegiant Air, Delta Airlines. They've taken that system and were able to implement it in other distribution companies such as Mom Mills and all those other brands. What we did instead was found our yeah, so what we did instead was we found our value proposition. And so like it was like, okay, how does Webflow make sense for you guys? Well, it's a software and you guys build out job boards. So what we can do is we can build the interface for custom job boards without having to deal with the WordPress side, and you guys can launch quicker, right?
Mm.
And so, that's just kind of one proposition out of the many you can find in order for it to make sense. This is why I think it's important for you to know yourself and know your own value prop before approaching, so that way you're actually in alignment with other agencies or other companies, so you can actually like make it kind of like a no-brainer to them. Like, oh
Mm.
yeah, I can see how this can work. Let's just give it a try. And what you do is you just give it a try, literally with one test project. So you can be like, all right, well, I'll charge you guys less, or okay, like we can just try this out for maybe a couple months, like whatever you want to do. Just you can say, all right, well, we can put you on retainer. We can do a retainer for a couple months, or we can do a test project where I drop my rate halfway. You guys I take all the risk, and we build this out and see how it goes, right? That's another thing. One more thing is it whenever you're doing this, remember that it's about like minimizing risk. I think Christel talks about this a lot too, minimizing risk. And so a part of that is you want to actually absorb as much risk as possible. So that way the company feels a lot less risk adverse and, kind of like, instead of feeling like, I don't really know you guys, we much rather reach out to a vetted agency. You know what I'm saying? You want to just absorb as much risk as possible. So that way it's easier for them to just have clarity and make sense of the deal.
Mm.
So that's another thing too. Hopefully that answers your question. But when I reached out, man, I just was like, really casual in my emails. I did not, even if it's just getting like a one conversation with them, like just casually talking. From there you can take it. But let's see, says I'm already doing a lot of that, showcasing on Twitter and LinkedIn and some Discord channels I belong to. Yeah, so that's great, man. So just keep at it. I think after a while too, if you're starting to realize a lot of pushback, or you're not getting like the type of responses that you would like, then just try a different approach in your email. And yeah, just make sure that you're building up your portfolio. But I think the key thing is just finding out your value prop and then approaching them with that. So, you have any thoughts on that, Penna?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If you haven't got a strong portfolio at the moment, then it's all about, I guess, deciding on who you want to work with. If you haven't got an idea of who you want to work with, then that's not a problem either. But if you do have a good idea of who you want to work with, then you can kind of shift or shape your portfolio to fit within that. And then again, it sort of ties into what you said about it being a no-brainer. If they can kind of see the sort of style that you do or the sort of people that you work with and it aligns with what they do, then it's a bit of a no-brainer in terms of like if they're looking for what you offer, then they're going to opt for you over someone that just provides something stylistically which is the complete opposite of what they're after, or they just work with industries that are not within their industry and that sort of thing. So a good way to look at it is if you are doing mock-ups or you like prototypes or working on that sort of thing where you're just making up brands, which is a great way to sort of create a solid portfolio. Then have a think about, you know, maybe what sort of industry most aligns with you as well. And then you can start to create like fictional brands around that
Mhm.
industry. And then, when it does come to you reaching out to these, actual businesses, then you can be like, okay, here's some portfolio work that I did with, you can just say it's someone that you worked with. It really doesn't matter. They're not going to go and look into the business or anything. It's like the work, the proof is in the pudding. They're just bothered about the work. And obviously the value that you can provide and the solution that you can provide to their problems. So, I think a good way to get your foot in the door would definitely be if you can think of any industries that particularly jump at you. And I'm saying this as someone who works with everyone, so I
Mhm.
don't have a niche, so to speak. But
Yeah.
if you do have a particular interest, then that might be a good way for you to work on these. These fictional brands, build up your portfolio, and then get to a point where you're working with actual businesses, and you'll start to switch out these fictional brands that you've done in the past, and they'll just start to get stronger from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just I think the casual approach, like you mentioned, is really one to sort of go after as well. I can sometimes get a little bit too in my head, being a little bit too professional with the emails that I write, and I
Yeah.
think the best way is because a lot of the time you're going to be reaching out to a person and not, you've got to remember that there's a person behind the email and you're not, reaching out to a automated service or anything like that. So, try and just spark up a conversation. Don't make it something like a short novel that they've got to spend hours reading through. Just make
Yeah.
it a quick, brief introduction. Send them the info that they need, and just be patient with it, and go from there. Really.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I wish I had my first like email so I can show y'all. I literally were just talking about some BS. Like, yeah, I just remember sending that, and then as you were talking, it was coming to me. But like, they're like, yeah, I can put you in touch with we work with a web agency, and maybe you guys can collaborate or something like that. And so it was a plant shop I reached out to. They put me in contact with the agency. Um, then I followed up continuously with the agency because they were like, yeah, like just send them an email. So they kind of probably knew about me, but not much. So I sent out an email. I kept following up, following up. The next thing like months later, I was teaching them how to use Webflow.
Mm,
Uh, and then yeah, we're collaborating on a bunch of cool projects. We won 2 awards with them. So man, opportunities, they yeah, they come, man. Just got to keep at it.
mm.
So, but man, Pinna, we went 10 minutes over, but it's all right because we kind
Oh shit! I didn't even realize.
of. So, all
Wow,
good.
that's gone so quickly, man. Jesus.
Seriously, seriously. Actually, I might need to up these to 45 or something like that in the future. But
Honestly, it might just be me, man. A tendency to ramble. So,
no, it's all good, man. We appreciate the gems, man. We appreciate the knowledge and your experience you shared today, man. So thank you very much, and thank you, Uzo. I see you left something. Yeah, yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Solid points, especially on those emails. Yeah, sometimes we all overthink at times, and
absolutely.
it's okay to try different approaches and see what works best. But just make sure to be authentic to yourself and good things will come. So yeah, thank you, Uzo. Thank you, John. I appreciate y'all for showing up. And everybody else who tried to show up. I know some of y'all DM me on Twitter saying that it was buggy. So my apologies. I'll figure this out. Maybe there's a different way I can approach this for next time. So Penna, thank you again. We'll see y'all next Friday on the next episode of Open Office. So I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, see you.